Being productive is a key to your success, and we are going to be talking about what productivity actually is and what it looks like in your life. So let's do it. Welcome to the Dream Lifestyle Podcast, where the goal is to help you craft your dream lifestyle by becoming the best version of yourself. I'm excited about today's conversation because we are talking about productivity and really getting to the root of what productivity is. And to start, I want to give you a working definition for what I believe productivity is. And for my standard for what I believe productivity is your ability to get a job done. Your ability to get the job done. And the reason why I like this definition is because there's no ambiguity. It's just clear cut to the point. Do you get the job done? Now, that job can apply to different areas in life. It's not just about your career. It's not just about relationships. It's not just about finances. It's just simply you are given a task, you're given a responsibility, and your productivity is just your measure of, do you get the job done? Okay. Now, there's two sides of this that most people overlook. Okay. Now, most people, they address the first side of it. They address the first part of productivity, but it's the second half that really is the separator. But the first half of, again, your ability to get the job done is your ability to get the job done, meaning your skills and your knowledge. Do you have the capacity to accomplish the responsibility? Do you have the capacity to do whatever it is that you have to do, right? And so with that, that's where if you're given a task that you don't have the skill level to complete it, you don't have the knowledge to complete the task, well, then that is a task or responsibility that is above you. You can't say that you're productive at something that you actually don't have the ability to accomplish. But if you are given a task that you do have the skill level, you have the knowledge, you have the capacity, you have the ability to accomplish that, well, then that's something that you can say, I'm productive in, right? I'm productive at brushing my teeth. I'm productive at taking showers. I'm productive at, doing certain things because, again, it's just based on your ability, and your ability being your skills and your knowledge. Now, most people get this part of it right. Most people, they are able to, reach a certain level because they're like, okay, once I get these certain skills, get this certain knowledge, and I'll be able to just basically check off boxes. And while that's great for us that are trying to elevate, for us that are trying to create generational wealth, for us that are trying to just create the type of success that our legacy can be proud of, it's not just about being able to check tasks off a box. It's not just about being able to say, oh, I started a business, check. Oh, I, gained a new mindset, check. Oh, I did this, check. It's not just about being able to say it's done. The second half of productivity, which is overlooked by average people, is the quality of the work that's being done. And the reason why most people miss out on this, because this is where going the extra mile comes into play. I'll tell you guys a story. When I was younger, I was probably a teenager. One thing about my mom, she really loves real Christmas trees. Why? I don't know. Now, for all the fellows out there, real Christmas trees take extra work. But for whatever reason, you know how it goes. When mama wants, mama gets. And so I remember this one year, we got this really, really nice tree. I forget how tall it was. It might have been 6 foot, 7 foot tree or whatever. But it was a real tree. We get the tree and, we go through Christmas. It's a great Christmas. And then around, most people leave their trees up a little longer than you should. But around let's say middle of January, we're like, okay, it's time to get rid of the tree. Now, my dad, he was like, Trevon, take care of the tree. Get it out, throw it into the woods. That was his responsibility. He tasked me with that responsibility. And so for me at the time, I'm just thinking, well, let's just check the box. Let's just get rid of the tree. So I pick the tree up. I open up the front door. I carry the tree out, throw it into the woods. All done. The box is checked. I'm going on with my day. But for those of you that have experience with real trees, that if you move that tree, shake that tree in any way, shape, or form, there are going to be pine needles wherever. You are not going to be able to silently move a Christmas tree. And so when I moved the tree, yes, I checked the box of taking it out of the house and throwing it into the woods, but there were pine needles all over the house. Now, again, I'm young, not really thinking much of it, but that was my opportunity to go above and beyond and really clean it. But for me, productivity said, well, I'll just check the box. I did what he asked me to do. However, the quality of the job that was done was not at a satisfactory level, which led to, if at least in the story's sake, my dad basically calling me back upstairs and saying, what in the world? Because now there are pine needles all over the house. And so now I've been tasked with something else to do that, had I taken the time and done the first job at a quality that would have been satisfactory, I wouldn't be having to do this. So now I've essentially wasted time because I just didn't do what I should have done for the first go around. But the reason why I'm telling you that story is because a true level of productivity says, not only am I going to take out the tree, I'm going to sweep up the pine needles. I'm going to put the furniture back where necessary. I'm going to make sure everything is perfect. There is not a trace of this tree. Now the job is done. And the reason why this is important, because think about this in your own life. When you think about, the things that you're tasked with, the things that you are responsible over, what would life look like if you not only pay attention to the task that needs to be done, but you're also paying attention to the quality in which you're doing it? And I can tell you from personal experience, when you start focusing not only on the task itself, but you actually start focusing on the quality in which you produce, because the quality, a lot of times people focus, so they put the ownership of the quality of their work based on the owner of the task, right? So if, I'm not going to do a certain level of work just because I'm at my job, I'm not going to do this just because, well, that's the other person's responsibility. But when you start taking extreme ownership over the quality of work that you do, if your name is attached to it, that should mean there's a level of quality that is undeniable. If you're looking for accountability, you need to check out the Dream Society. For $20 a month, you can join a community that will give you the support that you need and the accountability that you need to hit your goals every single week. And for $20 a month, it is the best investment that you will ever make in yourself. So I want you to go to dreamsociety.info right now to join, and let's get back to the episode. When you reach that point, you're going to see your entire life transform, because all of us have something, but because we're too busy focused on how we should have more, we should have this, we should have that, we're not focusing on what we have, we get distracted. And so in that distraction, we don't focus on the quality. But I'm telling you that if you just simply nurture what you have, if you nurture and do the tasks that you have in front of you, whatever your responsibilities are, whatever you have to do, what task you have to do, whether it be at your job, whether it be for your family, whether it be for your friends, whatever that task or responsibility is, because we all have tasks and responsibilities as grown adults. Whatever that is, if you focus on completing the task, but also focusing on the quality of that task, you're going to see a complete change in your life. And that is really the key to productivity, where it's your ability to get the job done, but it's your ability to get the job done in a level that is worthy of your identity. And when you start operating that way, things become way easier. And the thing is, when you become more productive, but the higher your productivity, the more contagious you become, in the sense that people are attracted to productivity. When you're always basically doing what you said you're going to do, when you're always getting the job done, people take notice of that. Because it's a simple thing, I'm certain you may have heard the story in the Bible of the talents, right? One farmer got 1 talent, another one got 5, another one got 10. And so the farmer that got 10 talents, he doubled it to 20. The farmer that got 5 doubled it to 10. And the one just basically hit it in the ground because he was scared. And when you think about that just in relation to your own life, what does your life look like when you simply, everything that you touch, you double? Where it's not just I'm holding on to it. Not only am I called to hold it, but I'm going to make sure that I'm going to, because it's in my name, because it's entrusted to me, I'm going to give it back. I'm going to submit the task. I'm going to submit the responsibility at a higher level than, I'm going to leave it better than when it came to me. How much different does your life look? Because the thing is, productivity is not something that just happens. productivity is in the details of your life. And when you start paying attention to details, that's when you give yourself the opportunity to improve the quality of the things that you're doing. And so in that, when we're talking about productivity, I encourage you to just start paying attention to what are the things that you're doing, right? Like you're accomplishing the goals, right? Let's say you have financial goals or whatever. You're paying your bills, you're showing up to work, you're showing up in your relationships. Cool. But how do I improve the quality of these things? Because that right there is really what's going to allow you to accelerate to becoming the best version of yourself. And what's even greater than that, like I said, people are contagious to that. Like, I'll use an example. For you. If you were, let's say you might have your own business or whatever, but if you were in need of a media company, there's 2 media companies, right? I have a media company, so I just use that for an example. You have a media company, and let's say you need one video done, and one media company says, both media companies say, we'll get it back to you in a month, right? We'll come in, we'll film, everything's great, we'll get it done in a month. Now, media company A actually takes the whole month, right? They get it back to you on the 31st day. But media company B, they get it back to you in 15 days. And the quality of both of the videos of themselves are the same. Which company are you more likely to go back to for your videos? The company that got it back to you in 15 days at the same quality as the company that got it back to you in 31. And so there's another example of just when you work on the quality of the work that you're doing, that is when you are able to elevate and you're going to actually start attracting new opportunities and new doors and new people to you. And what I can even tell you is that when you start operating that way, again, you're just going to see doors open. And again, that's the whole purpose of this thing. When you see doors open for you and when you really start understanding, if it has my name on it, then it needs to be a certain level of excellence. Like you're going to just catapult your life, but it's all in understanding you and how you work. And that leads me kind of into another point of this. But in order for you to really assess and really measure whether or not you get the job done, there is a level of honesty that is necessary when it comes to how productive you are. Because how I mentioned before about how, productivity is your ability to get the job done. If you don't know your own ability, then there's no way you can be productive. If you don't know how you work, you make it impossible to actually be productive. You have to be able to assess, here's what I know, here's what I don't know, here's what I'm not good at. And then from there, you're actually able to take on tasks, take on responsibilities in the right way. So that way you can actually be productive in pursuing and accomplishing those goals, those responsibilities, those tasks, right? If you're at your job, and I know this has happened to me plenty of times when I was younger, where someone asks you to do something, right? They say, hey, I need you to go do XYZ for me. And you don't really know actually how to do XYZ. You really don't. But for sake, you just say, oh yeah, no, I can do that. No problem. I'll get it to you in an hour. Now you're left stuck, stressed out. Like, wait a second. I really don't know how to do that. And you leave yourself frustrated when the productive thing to do is just say, hey, I really don't know how to do that, but let me get back to you and I'll find an answer. I'll figure it out, or give me an extra amount of time, whatever. There's a level of honesty that's necessary when it comes to your productivity, because you don't want to just be lying to yourself. Because if you're lying to yourself about what you can and can't do, you're going to put yourself in situations that are only going to lead to your frustration. They will only lead to you being annoyed because you have this big responsibility or just this thing that you said you were going to do, but because you weren't honest with your ability to get it done, now, you're just in a bad spot. You're in a bad spot. So in that, you want to make sure that you are honest with just what you're able to do. Be honest with your abilities as you are navigating what you're actually able to do and focusing on the quality of work and figuring out how can you improve that thing every single time. And on top of that, if you're listening to me and you're like, well, Trevon, I'm responsible. I check all the boxes. I do all the things. In what way can I improve the quality? I would tell you, to my media company example, figure out how can you get the same quality of work done in less time. Figure out how you can crunch time with your task and your responsibility. The things that take you a week, the things that take you a month, the things that take you a year, see if you can crunch them down. The things that takes you a week, usually that takes you 5 days, see if you can get it done in 3. The things that take you a month, see if you can get them done in a week. The things that take you a year, see if you can complete them in 5 months. Just see. And once you start thinking that way of figuring out, okay, how do I save time? You're going to find yourself being way more productive. And that's where you deal with putting systems in place and everything of the sort. But you have to understand really where you are in your ability and the tasks that you have to complete, and understanding and paying attention, I should say, to the quality of those tasks. So that way then you can do what's necessary to crunch the time, because time is your greatest asset. And when you actually start operating in this way of figuring out, okay, how can I crunch this time? Now you're going to figure out different ways to become more productive. You're going to figure out different ways to, okay, I want to keep the same quality of the thing, but I'm going to get it done in less time. So if I can do more in less time, doing more in less time compounded over time is going to lead to accelerated results. And so when you think about just whatever responsibility, if you usually save, let's say $1,000 every month, see if you can figure out a way to save $1,000 in 15 days. See if you can figure out how you can just, again, crunch time. So that's the first step when you think about, raising the quality of your work that needs to be done in your life. And so in addition to, crunching down the time, figure out how you can just improve the product of the work. So for, the business owners, entrepreneurs, if you're in a place where you're like, well, Trevon, I handle all my deliverables, my customers are happy. Well, see if there's another level you can go to when it comes to what you're actually giving your people. See if there's a worksheet you can add to it. See if there's a service that you can add as a bonus. There's always room for improvement in some way, shape, or form. So it's not just about crunching time, but it's also about just improving the overall product, right? If I were to go back to my media company example, you have the 2 media companies. Let's say both media companies get you a video back in 31 days, but company A, their video is a 7 out of 10, but company B's video is a 12 out of 10. Who are you more likely to go to? And let's say the pricing is comparable as well, right? You're more likely to go to company B just because, okay, sure, same amount of time, but the product with that time is way better. So there's a better use of time. And that's where, time management comes into play, where you really get to understand how you work. Using me as an example, I'm really only good for like 2 hours of locked in work. That may come as a shock, maybe not. But for me, with the way that I work, the way that I am, the type of work that I do, I can lock in for a strong 2 hours. But once 2 hours and 1 minute hits, it's downhill. So for me, in order for me to be the most productive, I need to work the 2 hours, but then I need to step away from the work. I'm going to go take a break. I'm going to go eat a snack. I need to step away from the work, and then I'll get back to it right back for my 2 hours, for the next 2 hour stint, as opposed to saying, nah, I'm going to just work 5 hours straight and, I'll be great. No, I'm going to be horrible. The third, fourth, and fifth hour is going to be horrible. Like, the quality of my work is not going to sustain itself, just because I know me. I'm honest with the fact you only got 2 good hours out of me when it comes to this work. And so with that, I'm able to be way more effective with my time, just because I know, okay, what can I accomplish in these 2 hours that will allow me to be the most successful? What can I accomplish in these 2 hours? What can I do during a break that will be the most relaxing, but also allow me the most separation time from the work that I'm doing, also to the place where I can lock back in for the 2 hours. So because I'm just honest and I'm focused on, okay, just knowing how I work, and I'm managing my time well, I become way more effective in what I do. So when you think about your time, it's not just about knowing, okay, well, yeah, time's my greatest asset. Well, it's actually, I believe, it's time for you to really start acting like it. It's time for you to really start operating as though time is your most valuable asset. So use it accordingly. Use it to your advantage. So within that, figure out how you can improve the product of whatever it is that you're doing. If you are operating and your productivity, you're accomplishing things at a 7 out of 10 level, well, how can you improve them to where when the tasks and responsibilities that are given to you, you're able to complete them at a 9 out of 10 level? How do you raise the quality of the product in which you're given? And so within that, again, and then when you really get good, when you're able to crunch time and improve the product, when you're able to say, well, I can get you a much better result in less time, now you become unstoppable. Now everyone's going to want to work with you. Now everyone's going to want to get connected to you, and people are really going to be drawn to you just because you're so productive. And so with that, just kind of backtracking, recapping everything that we've talked about so far, when you think about just your productivity, it is about, one, your ability to get the job done, both sides, understanding, okay, do I have the capacity to actually do this? And just being honest with yourself, but then also paying attention to the quality of work that's being done. But also at the same time, it's within the improvement of the quality of the work. How can I crunch time, and how can I just improve the overall product of which I'm doing the work? And so with that, this is where, a lot of people that talk about productivity, they talk about, using productivity apps and using all these different things. And what I'll say is, before you even use a productivity app, you have to understand how you work. If you don't know how you work, those productivity apps are just going to be sitting in your phone. Now, for me, I use ClickUp. So shout out to ClickUp. This is not an ad. They don't sponsor this video yet. If you want to, please feel free. But I use ClickUp. For me, it works great. I like the interface. It looks cool. And for me and my purposes, it serves me well. But that's because I know how I work. And so for me, it started with honestly just using what I have. And the first step, it really wasn't even ClickUp. The first step for me in really like improving the quality of my work in terms of really my ability to get the job done, for me, it was in business, but just in general, was using my calendar on my phone that I've always had. So what I used to run into all the time was telling people, oh yeah, no, we'll meet. Oh, we're gonna meet at this time, and I'd have a whole conversation setting a date on a meeting. And I was thinking, oh yeah, it's just gonna stay in my head. Like it'll stay there. And then come the meeting time, it's, hey, I thought we were meeting. Oh, jump, you're right. And now I'm just scrambling. And that was not serving me well at all. And so obviously when you go through enough of those instances, you say, well, something has to change. And I was honest with myself about, yeah, I can't keep doing this. If I want to reach the level that I want to reach, this can't keep happening. And so for me, I started just disciplining myself and making the decision. Anytime I set any type of meeting, phone call, FaceTime, whatever, it is going in the calendar. It's going in the calendar. And it has helped me immensely, just so I can see, okay, I have a meeting with such and such at this time. I have a phone call with this person at that time. I'm meeting up with this person. So let me see if I can cross-reference. So I was not dealing with any more double bookings. There was no clashing because I was able to clearly see my schedule, just back to the time piece, because I decided to improve my time management as a result, which would improve the quality of the product in which I was able to get the job done. But where ClickUp came in, well, one, like I said, it started with just my honesty and saying, okay, this can't keep happening. I have to improve in this area. So I'm using the calendar app. But once I reached a point in my business where, there are a lot of just other things that needed to be scheduled, but they definitely didn't need to be in my calendar, that's when I needed an app. That's when I needed something extra to be able to say, okay, here's what we can do so that way I can be more efficient in my time. And so with that, that's when I got ClickUp. And so ClickUp is where I'm able to keep all business tasks, all business meetings, notes, and everything. And because I've mastered my time, or I shouldn't even say mastered, but because I make a conscious effort of continuously improving my time management, I'm able to do the work in order to, leverage ClickUp as opposed to just having another app in my phone. And so with that, when you think about your productivity and just, again, you being honest with yourself about your ability to get the job done, it's not so much about apps. Like, yes, apps are helpful and there are a lot of different ones. So I'm saying ClickUp, but I know there's another one called Notion that's pretty good. But, it's about, one, assessing really where you are and just being honest with, okay, this is where my productivity lies. This is what my productivity looks like. And with that in combination with a system, in this case, we're talking about apps. But when you use them in tandem, that's when you're able to tap into a whole new level. And again, when you tap into a whole new level of your productivity, people are going to take notice. And so I hope that this was helpful in some way, shape, or form, this conversation that we had about productivity, because the more productive that you are basically enlarging your capacity. And if you can enlarge your capacity, you are basically giving God permission to give you more. And if God gives you more, God can give you more than any man. He can give you more than any job. He can give you more than anything else in the world. But it's up to you to really just assess, all right, well, this is how I do it. This is how I get the job done. And so I encourage you, if you haven't, take the time to rank your productivity in all areas of your life, because productivity is not something that it only rests in one area of your life. Your productivity is not just a measure of how you do at your job. It's not just a measure of how you are in your family. It's not just a measure of how you show up in your friendships and your relationships. It is across the board. Basically, any and everything that has your name on it, you should make sure that it is at optimal operation. You need to make sure that your productivity is at the best possible place it can be in every area of your life, simply because your productivity is a measure of who you are. So I encourage you, take the time, get clear on what you're good at, get clear on what you're bad at, get clear at what you really just don't know, and have the boldness, have the courage to simply say, I don't know. And I'm telling you, it will change your life. It will change the way in which people react to you. It will change the way people respond to you. And when you do that, doors will open. All right, doors will open. So again, thank you so much for checking out another conversation. I'm super thankful to have you. If you haven't, be sure in the description link below, check out the Dreamer Symposium live updates. It's totally free. You just sign up real quick where you can get free updates on our annual event where you're going to handle your goal setting, your goal planning, and your goal execution. It's going to be a dope room full of a lot of great professionals, entrepreneurs, and content creators, just to get clear on what we want to accomplish in the new year. So I encourage you, the early bird tickets are on sale right now. So you can go to dreamersymposium.com to get those. I look forward to seeing you there. If you haven't, also pick up a free dream workbook so you can really see what I'm all about. But please get productive. Always remember, your dream is possible as long as you are willing to work for it. I'll see you next week. And in the between time, while you're waiting on next week's episode, go check out last week's.